What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Yes, Manchester United 4, Newcastle 1. I'm here with DJ. We've got the match reaction. DJ, just broad strokes, how did you feel about that one? Got there in the end?
Hey, we got there in the end, 3 points is a must. You couldn't even write this. Ronaldo gets his 2 goals, another Pogba assist as well right at the end. So, for on paper, it looks amazing. Game was really patchy, but we did what we needed to do.
100% we did what we needed to do. It was an interesting one as well, because I don't know about you, and this is what's great about the match reaction. We'll get everyone's opinions in. I can see already loads of people in the chat. I mean, we've got a super chat already as well. This is how prepared these guys are coming in straight away. I've got to find it now. Here we go. We've got a Sue. Just straight away Sue. The problem is, I was saying this during the match view that they were like, "Oh, you're gonna say Sue if he scores. You're gonna say it," and I was like, mate, look.
Go on,
if I say it, it just sounds like I'm talking to a woman called Sue. It doesn't seem very cool if I do it. Obviously, he scored. I went full on. I was giving it
full on. Yeah,
I was giving it. I was like that guy outside the Old Trafford on deadline day. I was like, I was loving it. Speaking of Ronaldo, though, obviously that's what people are going to be focusing on. How do you think he played?
I think he played, as well as can be. I think he will get better. I think, he's just trying to link in with the guys. First actual match, high intensity. It'll be good to see what he's like in 3 or 4 games. He's borderline human. I won't say he's a full human yet, but he's borderline human. So you expect him to maybe be a little bit more slow and take his time. But if that's taking his time, 2 goals and the second goal, clinical finishing, that's what we hope to see from him this season. 100%. Then he's literally going to be unplayable really soon. I'll give him a couple more games to really get into his stride and get to know the runs of the other boys. But I thought he played well.
Yeah, I thought this is the thing with him, and I think that people almost have to manage their expectations a little bit. He scored. This is what Ronaldo is now. He scored 2 goals today. Was he involved in the play? Not really. Was he involved in the match that much? Not really. He plays on the periphery. He plays in moments at this point, but he is so reliable that he can have a game like he did today. He scored 2 goals. He scored 2 goals. And he might not have had his best game in the world. And he might not have been fully. I mean, he's had a full preseason. He played for Portugal, training this week. But in terms of the discussion is with United, is do we even have patterns of play? But he's not up to speed in terms of necessarily how we're going to play. And he still scored 2 goals today. And it wasn't a unbelievable Manchester United performance today, but he still scored 2 goals, and that's kind of what he does. Super chat from Manu fan 81 says, "Not a huge fan of Jesse, but what a loyal servant, what a goal scorer today as well by Jesse." We'll speak about Lingard. We kind of, since it was brought up there, were you surprised first of all that he came on? Because I saw some people being like, "Oh, Jesse coming on," all that kind of stuff. But I guess if he scores, there's not much you can really argue, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I think, I've got my opinion on Jesse Lingard. I do think he should have left in the summer window.
Agreed.
I do think United should have cashed in. But, he's here, so we're going to get behind him and support him. I was kind of shocked that he did come on. When I saw him come on, I was thinking, Van der Beek, where's Van der Beek? But Van der Beek came on maybe 5-10 minutes later. So I was like, okay, cool. But, Lingard is that type of player. He will chip in with me. I think he should have a benchmark of maybe 10 goals this season, at least. At least 10. Anything from 8 to 10, I think he can chip in from off the bench. He's going to be our super sub, if it were, to come into games late and do a lot of running. And you could see he was running off the ball really well. I think he doesn't get enough credit for that. I think he's running off the ball is actually really good. And when teams are tired in the 70th minute, 80th minute, Lingard is probably one of the best players to bring on for that movement and his runs in behind. So I wasn't surprised he scored. He's a good player. Let's hope that he can kick on for the rest of the season and get more goals, because I think 10 goals for Lingard is going to be good for United.
I don't know. When he came on, and I said this on the match view as well, you do get the impression if Rashford's fit, Lingard ain't coming on, because he came on left-hand side for Sancho. So that's one thing. 2. I'm with you on Lingard. I've said my piece about him a couple of times. Look, obviously, very happy he scored today. It's a goal for Manchester United. I'll celebrate it, of course. But my feeling still hasn't changed of him, that we have so many options right now. So many options, especially in those attacking positions. And he's got so many people ahead of him that people might use this today to justify, well, he does have a role to play. He scored. But this was a team that didn't have Rashford, or a squad rather, that didn't have Rashford and didn't have Cavani playing. I just think if those players are there, it's really difficult for him to get into that side. But look, he scored today, and you can't argue with that. and he had his moment. Notice he didn't do the whole Lingard Sue celebration at the end of it as well. Ronaldo's on the pitch. Didn't want to embarrass himself in front of CR7. Another super chat says, rivals, Ronaldo just scored a tap-in and got lucky in the second goal. It's a good point, actually. I'll bring that up, because I did see some people saying that, especially with the first one, because the first goal, credit Mason Greenwood, by the way, because he makes that goal happen. At a time which Newcastle, look, they were playing a low block the whole game. That was their game plan. And it took something, maybe a bit of luck, a bit of fortune, whatever you may call it, to get a deflection. Keeper sort of spills it out, and the Ronaldo does the tap in. But I mean, what do you think, DJ? Because from my point of view, yes, it's a tap in, but a good striker gets that position.
100%.
Like the problem might be with like Martial, like he might not be in that position. You know what I mean? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think. Rival fans, be quiet, please. Exactly. And that's me being really polite. I could say.
I was going to say. It's very polite, DJ.
Just be quiet, please, because at the end of the day,
out of here.
that's what
I don't have the thing.
That's what I mean. Where's KG when you need it?
I don't know.
Probably still celebrating in the stadium, but
he's still on like gas and air after that game. Honestly,
must be. But no, like Ronaldo, he's our number 9, and that's what I know he's number 7, but he's our number 9. He plays in the number 9 position. That's what he's paid to do. He's paid to score those goals. We can love the spectaculars. We can love the outside of the box, the step overs. And the second goal, I think, was a really good goal. But tap-ins, we need that. If you can get at least 5, 6, 7 of them this season, it's going to help us towards maybe winning something. So it's a tap-in. If Kane did it, no one says anything. Do you know what I mean? But Ronaldo does it. Oh, he's lucky. Whatever, guys. Whatever.
This is the thing, like with that, like he can never win. He can never win. He scored 2 goals in his first game. People will say, well, it was a tap in and the other one went through the keeper's legs. It's like, well, they still all count. That's one thing.
Exactly.
2, like you could see it. You saw it with the defender. Like, I guess it's a deflection, but Ronaldo gambles on that happening. He gambles on them. Something might happen, whether the keeper makes a mistake, it hits the post, whatever. I need to be there. And the defender knows it instantly because he looks over his shoulder and suddenly Ronaldo's not there. And he realizes, damn. That's moments. That is moments where Ronaldo, he's not going to be taken on players. I think he maybe tried it like once or twice. He did a step over. The crowd went, it didn't do anything. But at the end of the day, that's goals. That's why last season Ronaldo had 29 goals in Serie A.
Exactly.
He scores goals.
And Owen, the thing is, people, they probably still think Ronaldo is that 18, 20-year-old that was at Manchester United before. His game's changed. It's adapted. Most of his running and his step overs and his trickery are inside the box. Before he would do his work outside of the box, then get into the box. He's a box player now. Like, he's not going to be running down the wing, maybe on a counter-attack, possibly. But Cristiano Ronaldo is a box player. So expect more tap-ins, more headers, and more poacher goals. So for the rival fans that don't like it, for the rival fans that don't like it, get used to it, because that's the first of many this season. 100%.
Exactly. I agree with you. First of many, and also I think it was being pointed out that I think a concern by some United fans going into the game like today and just this season was that everyone's going to have to go through Ronaldo. Everyone's going to have to go through Ronaldo, and it wasn't necessarily the case today.
I didn't see that today.
No, I didn't see that today. I didn't see that today. I saw us playing how we've been playing in general, and Ronaldo just happens to be there. And that's kind of what it was like. I mean, you were mentioning before we started to go live, you said that you thought that Sancho was probably arguably the best game that he's had as a United player today. What do you think about Sancho?
Yeah, no, I thought he was quite bright, from kickoff. He played well. He looked a little bit more like Jadon Sancho. I think the first couple of games he played it a little bit safe, as you would do coming into a new team, but he was taking players on. He was linking up really well. And for for the space of like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, he was probably our most dangerous looking player, obviously besides Ronaldo. And he looked like he was linking up with Ronaldo quite well on that left-hand channel. And he came off around about the 60th minute, but I reckon that was planned. And it's just to, get him into sort of like the swing of things and the intensity of the Premier League. So I was thoroughly happy with his performance. And as you said, not everything came through Ronaldo today, and you could see all the other players getting involved. And what I think people need to understand is that when you've got Mason Greenwood and Jadon Sancho and Rashford when he comes back playing either side of you, they're the players that's going to do all your running for you, to be honest. Yeah. They're going to do the running for you. And Ronaldo, all he needs to do is focus on his bread and butter, which is get inside the box and score goals. And I think Sancho played well. I think Greenwood took a bit away from his game today. He was playing a little bit more as an assist type player, but for me, Greenwood is cheat codes when he gets in that right-hand channel. I've said it many times, his cheat codes. As soon as he shifts that ball left or right, the probability of him scoring or getting the keeper to spill the ball, which we've seen for Ronaldo's first, is quite high. So Sancho, very good game. Greenwood, good game too.
I said with Greenwood during the match view that for me, if Greenwood's like French or Brazilian or Argentinian, people are raving about him.
100%.
Because he's honestly, he is something special. Like again, that Ronaldo, that first one, it comes out of nothing, comes out of Greenwood, just comes out of Greenwood taking a shot. The interesting thing we mentioned about Sancho is that arguably he did have his best United game today. Do you think that's because when Sancho's been playing his last couple of games for United, he's been on that right-hand side? Do you think it has something to do being on the left-hand side and having like a Luke Shaw behind you?
Yes, yeah, you could see that, and you know what? I also think it's because Ronaldo was playing. Funny enough, because the defenders, you could tell their homework was Ronaldo.
Oh yeah,
that was their homework.
Honestly, there was a couple of times he took a touch. There was 4 people around him.
Yeah,
it was outrageous.
People around him. But now he's got a lovely supporting cast with your Sanchos and stuff like that. And I think Sancho playing on the left, he does have the added sort of option of Luke Shaw on the overlap. For him. And we've seen if anybody's watched Sancho at Dortmund, he thrived when he had an attacking fullback that could take in the space behind him, and he could work his magic and be a bit intricate and come into the middle of the field. And we saw that in a few parts from him. So I do think it's to do with the fullback. I think he would probably struggle without fullbacks offering him another option. I think he would struggle there. But yeah, I think he played well, man. I can't wait to see him in the next game.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that arguably his best game was on the left with Luke Shaw behind him. Obviously, that will open up the discussion points about like Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
Because Wan-Bissaka is a really interesting one because he's kind of dividing people a little bit now. I don't know if you've seen the same. That some people are saying, because defensively, like he a couple of times today made some great tackles. He's the spider, does those slide tackles, that kind of stuff. Obviously, the discussion point is him going forward. I think he did a couple of crosses today, but you could argue, even though Greenwood did start off again the goals with that shot that led to the Ronaldo goal, that right-hand channel again was quieter. It obviously was quiet. It was quieter today. I mean, what did you think of like Wan-Bissaka? I don't want to say his position's under threat because I'm not necessarily sure it is, but I think there is a discussion point of maybe like, well, Dalot can deliver the ball into the box maybe a bit better.
Yeah, you know what? For me, I'm a massive Wan-Bissaka fan, like literally massive. He actually went to my school, funny enough. He was a few years below me. But like he's an amazing player. And I just think that he's sort of a throwback defender. I would say he's a throwback right back. If he was born in the era of Gary Neville, in my opinion, doesn't get into that United team. Like Wan-Bissaka defensively is amazing. And yeah, people might say he's comparing him to Gary Neville. I'm not comparing the two, but I just think tackling wise and as a defender back in the day, that's what it was about, defending. He's unstoppable. The game's evolved for him. The game has evolved, so he has to adapt his game. And I do see slight improvements, but his improvements aren't as quick as we maybe need him to be. So I do feel there is a discussion there for Dalot to maybe come in for a couple of games. And I think Dalot should start that game. I think Dalot should come in and we can kind of see what Dalot's made of, because he's a brilliant crosser of the ball. But his question is always the defensively and the positioning. So if we could mix the two together, if you could put the two together, you'd have a perfect right back. But, I think Dalot should come in and we should see what Dalot can do. And that's no slight on Wan-Bissaka, but we do need to be attacking on both sides. And I think once United find that balance of being able to attack with a lot of width on the right-hand side as well as we do on the left, we're going to cause teams even more problems. So Dalot, for me, should come in against young boys just to see what he can do, to be fair.
I think he should come in general just because, fullback's a position that just needs rotation. It just does, doesn't it? You can't have fullbacks, which are nowadays, they shouldn't even really be called fullbacks. They're wingbacks nowadays.
Exactly, yeah.
They're up and down and just, it's either injuries or just energy levels, especially if you're going to go places in the Champions League. So I agree with you. I would hope to see Dalot play in the week in the Champions League. Obviously, we went 1-0 up and then second half 1-1. What did you make of the goal that we conceded? How would you break that one down?
Man, just really lackadaisical for me. At the players that we have at the back, Maguire, Varane, and stuff like that. Like, we shouldn't be conceding goals like that. But I do think it's a learning curve. I think Ollie would have ripped into Maguire and co after the game, because even though we've won the game, we still got to look at some of the stuff that we can improve on. And for me, Maguire's at fault in my opinion. Lackadaisical, as I said, and he done something else. I think he tried to shield the ball and ended up losing the ball to St. Maximum a little bit before that. So, Maguire just needs to step up. I don't think he's off the pace. I just think he has these little lapses where he's a bit too casual. And I think Varane should be, I guess Varane's probably giving him an earful now, but I think we'll get better. I don't think we'll see too many of that going on this season.
Yeah, I was frustrated. First of all, I was frustrated with the goal because the feed I was watching, I didn't actually see it. Like they were showing a replay. It was even not even just the Man United players were focused on the first half. Like the broadcasters were focused on the first half because they were showing the highlights of the Ronaldo goal. So it came back and they scored. And then once you saw the replay, you just saw it's Maguire for whatever reason. And I never understood. I mean, I play in goal, so I used to just shout at centre backs for a living. That's basically what I used to do. But at that point. The ball's what? It's not even in our half, I think. It's in their half, or it's right just in that, it comes into our half, just on the halfway line. And I just can't wrap my head around why, as a centre-back, when you are the last line of defence, there is nobody behind you. The only person that was with him was Varane at that point because our fullbacks are pushed up. Why on earth you would commit yourself to a sliding tackle there? I just don't understand.
Yeah.
It's really, really unnecessary, really unnecessary. And then it just puts so much pressure on Varane. He gets stood up one-on-one by St. Maximin, and that's not his fault because he's one-on-one and then there's a player overlapping. It's a good finish. I wouldn't be harsh on De Gea for it. I just felt it was really unnecessary. Really, it was a really rash decision by Maguire that I just didn't understand. Like you had said, I would hope that maybe Varane would be like, dude, there was no need to do that. No need to do that. But I did think Varane, it must be said, I thought he's unbelievable. He is unbelievable. So cool, calm, collected. Multiple times today, there were moments where it could have been an issue if you let it play out, but he just cuts it off, bang.
Cuts it off, bang.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he did this challenge, man. It was close to sort of where Wan-Bissaka was, and I can't remember who the player was, but he was tussling with him shoulder to shoulder, and then he kind of leapt in the air and then cleared it acrobatically. And I was just like, man, that's Lindelof's not doing that. Sorry, Lindelof, but you're not doing that. So, I was watching him play today, and he is proper quality, man. I was smiling and I was watching him. I was thinking he's just proper quality.
Yeah.
Man. We're gonna get better. I was always suspected there was always going to be slight teething problems with new players coming in. To this team, especially, when the coach is, when the coach is a little bit under scrutiny in terms of tactics and stuff like that, there's always going to be a bit teething problems. But I do think we'll get better. I wasn't too annoyed about it. I was annoyed, but, I don't see that happening again, to be honest.
I would hope not. I mean, you would hope that when it comes to someone like Maguire, if you're playing side by side with Varane, you up your game. You up your game, 100%. And because there have to be standards. That's what Ollie said on Friday when he was like, "Look, when you have people like Varane and Ronaldo and Bruno, if you make mistakes, even like that, they'll hold you accountable for it. It's unacceptable. You Manchester United, that's it, and that's what you need. That's what you need. So, I think it was a sloppy goal. I think it was a wake up call because I think there were points today, like I said in the match view, we've just played walking football for some reasons, and I didn't really get that, especially considering we were playing the low block. But we bring it back 2-1. Luke Shaw, a bit of just dynamic running, gives it to Ronaldo, puts it through the keeper's legs. What did you make of that one? Fluke? Lucky?
No, God. Oh, man. Literally, Luke Shaw, he's run, half of the pitch, and he's played the pass outside of his boot into Ronaldo's feet. And Ronaldo took one touch with the right foot just to set it up, and then bang with the left under the keeper's legs. Look, he's been doing that for years now. That's Cristiano Ronaldo for you. There's no fluke. There's no luck involved. I've seen Mason do that a bunch of times. Hit the ball and it goes through the keeper's legs. That is what Ronaldo's going to be doing. He's going to be on the last shoulder of the defender, on the defender's shoulder, and he's going to be running that goal. If we can play the ball early to him. And Luke Shaw, for me, he had a good game. This was a better game for Luke Shaw. Since we've mentioned him, better game for him, in my opinion. The last couple of games, I was really critical of his performance. I didn't think he was doing enough running. But, everyone was amped up today. It's the return of the king, and everyone wants to sort of get involved. So, Luke Shaw, for me, great assist and even better finish for Ronaldo.
Yeah, I thought it was a quality run. And it's stuff like that that makes goals. Just a case of being like, right, I'm just going to run at the defense, because sometimes that was the problem. A couple of times today, and eventually it caught up to Newcastle, because they were very happy for us to have it 25, 30 yards out. They were kind of a case of go on, shoot, and that's how we got the third goal. But but a couple of occasions it was like, no, just run at them. And it goes to show, again, going back to like the Ronaldo slander, basically, it goes to show if you give him service, like, he'll score. He'll score. He'll bury it. And the idea, like you said, of like, oh, through the legs, lucky, that is 100% intentional. You know, you're told as strikers sometimes, like, if keeps got legs open, put it through the legs. You know, the best players in the world, they'll do it. Like, so many times I've played in goal, someone's put it through my legs, and I've gone, oh, you've done me. Because you know that most of the time they meant it, and of course he knows that. Of course he knows that, and the keeper doesn't have a chance because he just leathers it as hard as possible. And it was kind of just a case of like, I don't know, it's almost like we needed that goal to go against us, just to be like, wake up, like, you know, you can't be resting on your laurels and stuff like that. So again, those people that were like, oh wow, it was lucky Ronaldo tapping through the legs. What else do you want? It was the perfect. If he'd got a hat trick, that was a penalty. That would have been the perfect. That would have been bingo for the people that are slagging off Ronaldo. They'd have been like, tapping through the legs, penalty, slander.
Do you know what, Owen? Yeah, the funniest thing is though, is he scored 2 goals today, and I'll be honest with you, it didn't look like he was trying that hard to score these 2 goals. So imagine if he would have got a hat trick. That would have probably been one of the easiest hat tricks he's had to score, because, as I said, he's got the players around him that's going to do all the running for him. They're going to do all the running. They're going to create. They're going to take players on, and he can just be in the box and do what he needs to do. So, to the haters, see you later, mate.
Exactly. See you later from CR7. Third goal was Bruno Fernandes, rocket. What did you think of him today? Because we were talking before we went live that, you know, like first half, he didn't have a great first half. And he does that. He does that, Bruno, that he'll have 45 minutes where it feels like every pass he does just isn't there or something like that. But he can still do stuff like that, right?
Of course he can. Of course he can. Yeah. For me, right. So this is my take on Bruno. Good player.
Go reckless.
Just sometimes for me, he just doesn't look after the ball enough for me personally. I get wants the risk-taking passing, and it does come off maybe 8 out of 10. But when it comes off, it's amazing. But for me, sometimes Bruno, just take care of the ball. Don't rush it. Don't force it. That's one thing I do notice about him. He does seem to force it a little bit too much. And, you know, I don't think it would hurt, and maybe this is me as pro Donny van de Beek, I don't think it would hurt sometimes for Bruno to come off. I think this season we need to see rotation of players a little bit more now. I want to see Bruno maybe coming off at 60 minutes, Van de Beek getting a try, number 10, number 6, number 8, whatever the weather, because I do think sometimes he forces it a lot, and he does sometimes not really perform that well for maybe 45 minutes. And then pops up with an assist, pops up with a goal. So I do get it.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? It's because you never know. You never know. That's the problem. Exactly. Is like he cannot play well for 60 minutes, 65 minutes, but then he'll score 2 goals, get an assist, and be man of the match. And it's a case of like, how do you take that off? And that's part of the problem going to like Donny van de Beek, isn't it? Of like, Ollie obviously sees him as a 10. I know he said this week, I can play as a 6, I can play as an 8. Everyone I think else knows that, maybe apart from Ollie himself, because when Donny came on today, who did he come on for? He came on for Bruno Fernandes. Yeah. So I obviously thinks that he's a 10. And when you've got a guy that is almost unsubstitutable in a sense that, like, not because he's so like critical, but it's more of a case of, but he could score at any second. You can kind of see why Ollie in his mind thinks, well, Donny can't play. Donny just can't play because I can't take Bruno off. That's part of the problem, right? So I know, I like we were saying, I thought that Bruno first half, I thought he was off it. I did think he was trying things, and he always tries things. He always tries, through balls or passes and all that kind of stuff. But it's almost like sometimes it takes him like 70 minutes just to get his accuracy on. And then once it's on, bang. And make no mistake, the goal is unbelievable. It's a rocket, And again, like Newcastle, we had threatened that all day because they were very happy for us to have it 25, 30 yards out. And they were like, have a shot. But the problem is, if you've got like Ronaldo, Bruno, Pogba in your side, eventually it's going to go in. And it must be said about Pogba actually today. I think he still did technically get like 2 assists.
Yeah, he did. He did. I think that's 7 and 4 for him.
Exactly. It's pretty. Again, more of a like last. When it wasn't last week, a couple of weeks ago when we played Wolves away, and he was in that that sort of deeper role. But it was with Fred that day. really wasn't on his game. But days like today, you can see really what he can do from that position, can't you?
Yeah, man. I think it leads to that theory that Pogba plays much better with an actual CDM, a proper CDM. And for me today, you can see that some of these players, some of their games are going to be sacrificed just a little bit to accommodate Cristiano Ronaldo. I love when Pogba's in the Fernandes position, a bit higher up the pitch. But to be fair, him and Matic, some of the passing that they played, some of the through the lines was amazing. That we don't really get from Fred or McTominay. McTominay does it sometimes, but not really much from Fred. I thought the balance in midfield was really good. And, I was on Twitter at the time and I'd seen a lot of people tweeting, Nemanja Matic, I wish he was 5 years younger, because getting onto Matic's partner in midfield today, I thought Matic was... you look at him and I think we spoke about it, he gets a bit leggy around 70 minutes, but... Yeah. Imagine I think that's why maybe Declan Rice is seen as the heir to the throne of Nemanja Matic, because similar style, but Rice is younger, a bit more mobile, and I think more suited to the Premier League now. But Matic, for me, played really well, and I think it did bring out, some of Pogba's best bits today. Yeah,
he does have those games, doesn't he, Matic, like today, where it's a case of like you said, if he was 5 years younger, then we wouldn't be having that defensive midfielder conversation.
Exactly,
and the thing is as well, because 5 years ago as well, he's winning titles with like Chelsea and all that kind of stuff, because he's quality. He is a quality player. And even still on his day, like today, he is still a quality player. The issue is his Matic isn't going to play 40, 50 games a season. He just can't do it. And then once he doesn't do it, and to be honest with you, look, he played today because they thought Fred couldn't play.
Yeah,
and then eventually he was on the bench, and it was a case of, well, we haven't really prepared with having Fred in our side, so we'll just go with Matic. But the next game, Fred will play. Fred will play.
I don't want to see it, to be fair. I mean, if Matic comes off today and he's in the locker room and he's like, yeah, boss, I can play the next Premier League game, like, play him, because we have. I know we wanted a CDM, but we have one. So we're going to work with what we've got. We have one. We just need to make sure that we're managing him correctly, and he can come and play certain games. Not every game is going to be for Matic, not every game, but when the time arises, that's why I think Oli needs to use his squad this season. I know he was quite stubborn last season and having the same 11 all the time, the same subs all the time. But come on, Oli, you got Van der Beek sitting there, you got Matic, players that can actually make a difference. And Matic, for me today, he first half especially, took the game by the scruff of the neck, and he really was like the dictator. He was.
A couple of times he's even making forward runs. A couple of times today. One of them, he tried to take someone on. He tried to take a touch, and he never went past him, because I thought you would never go past anyone, man. You better calm down. But I agree with you. Look, I think he played well today. The only thing with Matic you could say is that today was a really good game for Matic. This is the kind of game he should probably be playing. If it was like, I know, say away at Anfield or the Etihad, when it's like mobility, that would be the one where I'd be a bit like, you can see why he goes with like a Fred in that game, because like you said, the pace is just too much. Isn't
the pace is too much. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I think Fred, for me, he has his job. I wouldn't say he's Ji-Sung Park, but he's in that mold in terms of Fred get in around these players, break up play, and give it to our better players. I just think when Fred tries to start doing things that aren't Fred-like, i.e. trying to pass through the lines and long balls.
Actually play football.
Fred, just stick, because that's what we loved about Fred last season. It was, he's busy, he'll get the ball and give it to Pogba or give it to our better players. That's what we want to see from Fred. So if they can just mould Fred and keep him contained within that's your game, I think he'd be a good player for us, effective player for us.
Yeah, and the fourth goal was a Jesse Lingard goal. Now, obviously, Lingard came on early, around 65 minutes for Sancho. And I think we were saying before that was most likely pre-planned out, Sancho. Because I saw a lot of people being like, what? Lingard coming on for Sancho? How dare he? How dare he? And obviously, it was a case of Sancho had a knock, withdrew from international duty. I think he was always only going to play 65 minutes, something like that. So Lingard comes on. And again, I don't know if he comes on, if Marcus Rashford's on the bench either, as well, to be honest with you. And I think it was kind of maybe a case of Ollie being like trying to prove a point. There have been a lot of rumours, haven't there, about Lingard this week of like turns down a contract. That was the thing. I know this is a massive tangent, but that was the thing that frustrated me with Lingard this week is like, so you don't leave in the summer when there was definitely opportunities for you to leave in the 100%. Summer. No doubt there were opportunities. West Ham wanted you. Maybe you didn't want to go to West Ham, but there are other teams interested. It wasn't just West Ham. So you say, no, I don't want to leave. Okay. They go, right, do you want a new contract? No, I want you to tell me that I'm going to play. Well, you're not going to play. We told you that. You could have left. Yeah. That's what I just don't get with that whole situation of like, I don't get it. And I don't think, look, he scored a goal today, but I don't think that changes anything. I think in like 3-4 weeks' time, whenever Rashford's back or whatever, he's further down the pecking order again. Yeah. You know, and I just don't get that.
I think it's smart from Ollie in a sense, because if you play Lingard now, his value is going to either stay at the same or it's going to increase. And so potentially we might be seeing January he might be going. Who knows, you know? Maybe. Ollie may think, you know, I'm going to play you because we can't make you sit on the bench till January. Might as well give you a sub appearance here or there. He scored as well. So he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. Jesse Lingard is a good player.
Yeah, score for England.
Yeah, exactly. I just think that at United, where we're stacked in those positions, he's not going to be ahead of any of these guys. So it's just best for his career to just maybe, you know, seek pastures new.
Yeah, that's what like when I was watching the England game when he was scoring for England, it was kind of like you watched it and you're like, great, he scored, but he's not going to play. And he scored today and it's like, great. But when push comes to shove, he won't play. And I don't know. And maybe we might be proved wrong. Maybe this is the beginning of a massive Lingard revolution this season. I would be very surprised. I would be very surprised. And you would just think, given that, you know, we've got a World Cup coming next year, that and he just missed out on an England squad, right? He just missed out because he wasn't playing enough football. Yeah. You feel like you've got definition of insanity is doing the same mistakes, expecting different outcomes, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And that's what it kind of feels like of him. But look, he took his goal well. It was quite intricate play. Martial with a bit of a dummy as well. Yeah. What did you think of Martial? I mean, he didn't have much time on the pitch, but what do you think when he came on?
Hey, look, I think he contributed to the Lingard goal there. That dummy was excellent. I know it's a dummy and everyone's like, oh, he didn't even touch the ball, but you know, he was part of that creative process to get that goal, and the dummy was exceptional. And then Lingard obviously scored the goals. But you know, for me, Martial, I thought he would have maybe come on for Sancho.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I thought he would have come on a little bit earlier because, you know, apparently I watched one of the France games. He played really well actually. But he played as a centre forward, and there was no way in a million years Ronaldo was coming on. There was no coming off. Sorry, there was no way.
Especially on two goals.
Yeah. Because I thought he might have got a hat trick, but Martial for me, I hope to see him against young boys, and I think this is the beauty of having the squad we have, Owen. You know,
exactly.
Ronaldo's probably going to be hungry for goals, but it's not the same Ronaldo. So Ollie's going to have to manage him for those type of games. He might say, Ronaldo, sit this one out, have a rest. You'll play next Prem game. Cavani come in. Do you know, like we've got players, we've got so many options. You know what I mean? And Martial might get a starting role against young boys. If it was me, I'd play. I don't know. Young boys is Tuesday, but I'm just saying.
A lifetime away.
I know, but I'm just saying in terms of looking at the squad today and who played, it does seem that maybe Fred will play against young boys. Martial will play against Cavani, maybe even Sancho as well, just to keep boosting up his minutes. You know, Van der Beek. So like Martial for me did what he needed to do. It was part of the goal. Hope to see some more in the next couple of games.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought he was going to come on for Sancho because I thought, well, because this is the thing with Martial this season. Like, he may have aspirations of playing for us as a striker. He ain't playing as a striker this season. Especially because not just the fact, you've got Ronaldo ahead of you, you've got Ronaldo and Cavani playing ahead of you. So it's it's not happening. And to be honest with you, I think at this point, the idea of Martial being like, I'm a striker, I think you've had opportunities there. And it's just, yes, he did. Was a couple of seasons ago, he scored goals, but I just think at this point, it's frustrating with those kind of players that they're like, I'm a striker. And it's like, you're not.
You're not.
You're not a striker. Like Theo Walcott back in the day, I've been like, I'm a striker. I'm a striker. You're like, but you're not. You're not. And it's kind of what it's exactly. And it's kind of like with Martial, and he can affect games. He's still very good off the left-hand side. That's why I thought he would come on. And for Sancho, and when he did come on, he went on to the left anyway because Lingard went out to the right. So I thought he absolutely has a part to play. And I think, look, we mentioned before about the squad and the competition for places. And this season, we're going to need a squad. I think the whole narrative of those people that are like, how are you going to fit all these guys in? Well, the answer is you're not. You're not meant to. You're not meant to fit. You're meant to fit all these guys, and that's not what it's like. When you had back in the day, like Berbatov, Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo, there's questions like, how are you going to fit them all in? And the answer is we don't, unless we're like 1-0 down and we throw them all on. That's how we fit them all in. Otherwise, we don't. And that's the case for United this season. Is like, you watched that game today, 4-1. You still had quality players on the bench, still players to come in. Cavani had a knock, he didn't play. Rashford still coming back. We've got real quality options, and make no mistake, we won 4-1.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's kind of weird to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing, you know, like Newcastle. Like when I was watching the game, I was thinking, okay, Newcastle sitting low block. Clearly, their homework was Ronaldo, because as soon as he picked that ball up, they're at his ankles, literally at his ankles.
Yeah.
And then I looked and I was like, oh yeah, Mason's over there. Oh yeah, Sancho's over there. Oh yeah, Bruno, Pogba. Like, I was like, so much creativity. We're gonna create chances this season. It's nearly impossible not to. Do you know what I mean? And you know, as I said, if it's about, I think this season is definitely going to be about managing the squad and getting the best out of the squad, knowing when players need to sit out, knowing when players need to start, knowing when players need to be brought into the fold. Now, maybe bringing in Lingard wasn't actually a bad idea, because on the grand scheme of things, we're going to need players to be up to speed anyway, because we're going to be rotating. So I'm happy for Lingard to have come on. Did think Martial would have come on, but hey, look, it's Ollie at the end of the day. I think the Van de Beek thing was kind of...
Yeah.
It didn't seem genuine to me. It just went, got like, seemed a bit contrived. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It kind of felt like that. Because again, it was funny, because I said it in like the match view. He said like Van de Beek's coming on. I was like, man, I'm glad I'm sitting down. Like, he's going to get minutes. Like, this is crazy. And then he came on and they went, he's coming on for Bruno Fernandes. And you thought, well, that sums it up. That's the answer. That's the answer. I think he's a 10, and he can be a 10, but he can be also an 8, can also be a 6. Like today as well, like I was saying this before the game, that this would have been, I mentioned it was a perfect game for Matic, but it also would have been the perfect game for Van de Beek, you know?
Perfect game for him.
That he doesn't need to have all the energy. It needed to have a little bit more creativity, or we're facing a low block. So why don't you want that extra bit, you know, a deep line playmaker or something like that? But it just feels, doesn't it, like the more you watch, because look, like if Fred was banned today, still Van de Beek still wouldn't play. that wasn't the plan.
And that's the thing, you know, I was campaigning I was on the Van de Beek campaign all week before the game on Twitter. I was just like, look.
But did you really believe he was going to start?
At one point,
that's the difference.
I think at one point I did. I think just after the interview, you know, a few people were like, that's it. He's not got a career at United. And I was thinking, nah, I think he might be surprisingly included into the first 11, because he is really good. And then I think as time progressed, and I just thought, actually, no, because I think people were putting out their best 11s for the game.
Yeah.
And loads of people were starting to put Pogba back into the deep. And I was like, yeah, Pogba's definitely not going to sit out. And I was hearing Sancho was available to play. So I kind of suspected Sancho was going to start. That would mean that Pogba would go into the midfield. No place for Van de Beek, unfortunately. But as I said, you know, and this may be controversial, I do want to start seeing maybe Van de Beek come on for Bruno. And I want to see maybe a little bit more often. I want to see that. I do want to see that, just to see, because he as we know, he can play number 10, he can play 6, and he can play 8. He's just a different type of number 10 to your Bruno. Do you know what I mean? So he arrives in the box late. He gets onto, you know, the loose balls at the end of the box, and he can make things happen, and he can keep it ticking. And he looks after the ball pretty well. But I'm not Ollie. You know what I mean? We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, I got asked a question today, and I think it's quite an interesting one. That team we put out, do you reckon that's our strongest 11? It's a tough question. I couldn't answer it.
I think it is. I think it is.
I think it might be.
I think it is when you look at sort of like the form that especially Greenwood's in, and what he's able to do. You know, when I look at certain footballers, I look at what X factors do they have, because you can get players like St. Maximin who look good.
He was good today. He was good today. I was saying that during the match, where I was like, if we didn't have so many attacking players, you'd be like, bring him in. But he would. There's just so many.
Exactly. I'm not going to lie. Like I'd take him over Lingard, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think he would start for United, but he's an excellent option to bring off the bench.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I look at players with X factors, and when you look at Mason Greenwood, just both footed. You know, as soon as he strikes that ball, the probability of it going in is quite high.
Yeah.
You know, so he definitely has to play. Then you look at Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't even need to say anything else. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. Then you look at Jadon Sancho, what he was able to do over in Dortmund, and if he can replicate that for Manchester United on either flank, you know, you're in his goals and assisting him. And then you look at Bruno, X factors, can play crap for 70 minutes and pop up with an assist and maybe 2 goals. You never know with Bruno. And then you go with your Paul Pogba. When he's on, he's on. He's borderline unplayable. And then you look at Matic, the only real recognised CDM. And on his day, when he's for the first 60 minutes, you know you're going to get prime CDM, prime Matic. And then Luke Shaw and the back four and the back five. I think maybe the only question mark, which we was talking about, is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think that's where...
I thought you were going to say Rashford. I thought you were going to say about Rashford.
I think at the moment, Rashford doesn't get into this team until he gets his chance. Because I think Sancho's going to start building up steam. And if he hits the heights that we know he can, I mean, who does Rashford come on for? Not Ronaldo. Would it be Greenwood? I don't think so. Greenwood's more clinical.
I don't think you can drop him at the moment. He's getting assists, he's getting goals, right? It's a big one. I think it would be one of those things. If you drop Greenwood and people go, "Wow, you've got managed games," I think that's a bit of a cop out.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's a bit of a cop out.
The boy's hot right now.
Exactly.
He's hot right now. You got to keep playing him. You got to keep playing him until he has 2 stinkers of a game, and you say, "All right, mate, come sit on the bench for a couple of games. We'll try something else." Do you know what I mean? But I do believe that's probably our strongest 11. I'm trying to think who else.
It's a tough one, especially when you have options. Especially when you have options like we do now. You go, well, maybe. That's what I was thinking. I was like, possibly. And the problem is that people will say, well, if that's our strongest 11, first half was shaky. You know what I mean? But look, that's the first time that 11's played with each other, right?
Exactly.
So, I think, like we were saying before, I think people got to realize that when you play with Ronaldo as well, people are going to have to adapt slightly and know what he's going to do. Because it's like Bruno was definitely on his wavelength. And you can tell that from international duty, couldn't you? Because he knew exactly earlier on where those balls were going to go. Yeah. And once the players start to maybe just trust that he's going to be there. I think you have to remember they've probably played with strikers for the last couple of years, being like, no, he won't be in there.
Yeah,
he won't be making that run.
I think the first 10, 15 minutes of the first half, it was lovely to see the link up play, and as I said, Ronaldo isn't going to do much running in these games. So if anyone expects him to be pressing the defender and leading the press, that's not what he's here for. We've got younger guys with a bit more legs at the moment to do that type of work. So, your Sanchos or Rashfords and Greenwoods and your Pogbas and your Brunos, they're going to be doing that type of work. And Sancho, someone said Sancho needs time. Definitely. And I can see he's played. I'm sorry, I know I'm so big on Sancho today, but I saw glimpses of what we're going to get. And I was like, yeah, man, definitely Sancho just needs a couple more games to bed in. But I think this is our best 11, Owen. If anyone says McFred's part of the best 11, I think people will have shocked. But I think we just look so much better with Matic there. I do honestly believe that.
Yeah, I think he definitely. But again, that's the problem, is that because we've got so many options now in attacking positions, and you're like, well, it's difficult almost to say what the best 11 is, all that kind of stuff, and it does depend on the opponent. I saw someone say that, which I would agree, because I would think if like I said earlier on, if we do play a City or Liverpool, you'd be like, does Matic start in that game? But then is that our strongest 11? Yeah. They're tough discussions to have, but they're not the worst discussions in the world to have. Yeah. When it comes to Ronaldo this season, obviously we didn't have Cavani playing today. Reportedly he has a bit of a knock. I don't know if he'll play in the week or not. How do you see Cavani playing this year? Because the thing is, Ronaldo, whilst we want to manage him, it's really tough to drop him. He put pressure on Oli to play him today as well through the media and stuff like that, didn't he?
Yeah, no, of course. But for me, everyone's kind of I've kind of had this question from friends and family and stuff. And for me, Cavani can play on the left hand side of Ronaldo because he did it at PSG with Zlatan. So he can play in a front three on the left. And I know he was slightly younger those days, but I do think if he really wanted to, we could play him in there. And it, again, depends on the opponent. If we're playing teams that are susceptible to aerial threats, then, maybe 60th minute, you get Cavani on for one of your wingers to go and put pressure in the box. Imagine the goal that is going in. If you've got Cavani and Ronaldo occupying the box on the shoulders of defenders, something's bound to happen. And it's just amazing to have these options, This, and I said it, this is probably the best United team in a long, long time in terms of talent.
Absolutely.
You've got experienced players, world-class players, very good players, young players, a nice mixture of everything. And Cavani, I think, is vital to that squad.
Obviously, it's only one game, but But did you see enough today of being like, we can challenge this season? Why can't we challenge? Did you see enough of that today or not really? And it is one game.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I saw saw good players out there doing what they were doing. I still just think that in midfield we're really light in terms of the CDM. I know I gave Matic praise, but you were right. Like, there's going to be an awful lot of football to play. He's not going to be available for a lot of it, I believe. So we do need to improve that position on the pitch, and also, for me, the patterns of play. I think that is now going to, because what's happening is we have all this talent, and for this talent, for the guys on the bench to come in, they're coming into a blank canvas with nothing. If there was a pattern of play, you could swap players out, and the level of our performance would be the same. However, I do think the level of our performance will dip slightly or change during certain games. So the coaching for me needs to be a little bit better, because there's nothing new. I haven't seen any new wrinkles to Ollie's tactical game just yet. Maybe, who knows, maybe he finds it this season. Again, one-off games, and I think you said it, one-off games, Champions League. I definitely think we're going to go far in cup competitions, 100%. But the league, where you have to have multiple systems, multiple patterns of play to keep that longevity of winning games, I don't see it at the moment. We are going to win a lot of games this season. Trust me, we will. And that's because of the players that we have. But in terms of being able to coast the games and get patterns of play going and be effective, I think that's going to hinder us. And I really do believe that. And the coaching's sticking out to me a little bit at this moment.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think you do watch games where you see, like, and even today, certainly when we played Wolves a couple of weeks ago, where you go, I have no idea what the style of playing is that we're playing. I don't know. And even today, you go, I'm not really sure what the plan is at the moment. But as I mentioned before, I don't think there's any excuse not to challenge this season. I think if we're really off it, say we're like third or fourth and we're just nowhere near the title, I don't think that's good enough at this point. I think given the players that we have, there's no excuse not to be competing. That's different to actually winning the title, because I've said before that I don't see us doing it this season for the same reasons that you said. I think just in that, maybe like a defensive midfielder position, we are probably short. And if you would say that maybe that DM maybe gives us like 6 more points, 5 more points,
100%.
That might be the case of what it takes to get us over the line this season. But I don't see that as a reason of, if we're like come April or May, we're like fourth and it's miles away, that Ollie can go, well, I just didn't get that defensive midfielder in. Sorry, guys, that's not good enough at the end of the day. And look, whilst we maybe weren't at our best at points a day, and we did play still in moments, and I'm not really sure what really, again, the game plan was today, we still won, and we still won 4-1. I mentioned before when we played Wolves a couple of weeks ago that it wasn't good. It really wasn't good. But people in a couple of weeks' time won't really remember that. They'll just remember that we won. And that's kind of the case today. I think we did play much better than we played against Wolves. But I agree with you in the sense of, you still do watch it and you go, I'm not sure what the game plan is here. I'm not sure what your pattern of play is here. I mean, if you wanted to change the system, and I think so, I said this during the match for you as well. I said, like, because again, it's the discussion of how do you get these players in the side? What do you think is United's best system going forward? What would you change it to?
I'd love a 4-3-3 personally. I think with the players we have, we can probably play that. You could play a midfield of Pogba, Bruno, and for argument's sake, McTominay when he comes back, to be kind of your destroyer, and then have the 2 8s just ahead of him if you want to play. Or you could play a flat 4-3-3, which I think could potentially be good. 4-3-3 would be the go-to formation for myself. But yeah, you're right. It's a bit, watching United's a bit weird. Like, it's like watching 11 individuals that are really good players play, but again, there's no system. I think what Ollie needs to do is highlight a system and highlight kind of a style of play. So whether that's, getting attacking wing backs, like getting forward and putting crosses into the box, you could then identify United are a team that uses whips. We use wingers and fullbacks to get the ball in the box. Then you could identify, and off that we can counter attack. Then you'd be like, that's our style of play. We only do that on one side. We only cross the ball on one side.
Yeah.
We counter attack, okay, but then sometimes we play this really slow walking football, which drives me nuts, because when we do play one touch, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I just don't see, in my opinion, and I don't know if some of you guys watching, I don't know if you guys can see an evolution in our style of play. It does seem quite all one level. I think the only thing that's changed is we brought in better players. If that makes sense. Yeah, it's quite a weird one.
It is a weird one. And I see some people saying, like, well, we won, let's not being negative. And I don't think we're being, I don't personally see this as being negative. I see it as saying we won 4-1. But I think if you do break it down, there were points of play today where it was like, where's the difference? At the end of the day as well, it's Newcastle at home. If we're not winning that game, major questions asked. With the players that we have on the pitch, you should beat them 4-1, to be honest with you. When you've got like a front line of like Ronaldo, Bruno, Sancho, Greenwood, and Pogba in a deep role, we should be blowing them away. And we did, but it's just a case of, I think it's naive not to look at today's game and be like, oh, okay, brilliant, we're going to win the league. We blew them away, because we didn't. Yeah. We didn't. Yeah. There are still things there, and those same issues of, like you say, patterns of play and against other teams or whatever. I think it probably will hurt us this season.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, it doesn't feel like there is an ability at this point just to be like, okay, this system isn't working, we're going to switch it to something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I've noticed, Owen, is and I've said this to my brother a few times, when we're playing teams, we try a few of our signature moves. So, you know that there's where our right back will pass it to Pogba, and the first time he'll whip it in. Sometimes Bruno does that as well. We'll try that. Then what we'll do, we'll try the Bruno long ball over the top.
And that was a couple of times today.
Yeah, and then what we'll do is we'll try Shaw and our left winger linking up, Shaw crossing. We'll try that. And if that doesn't work, it's like everyone looks at each other like, oh, okay, well, we've tried our best moves now. We've done our signature moves that usually gets us goals. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's not going to cut it against the big teams. And I said it on transfer deadline day. I said, the bigger teams that can punish us. Look, Saint-Maximin was on fire today. Really good player. But against your Chelseas and Man Cities and Liverpools, they will punish you. Well,
that was the thing with Saint-Maximin, wasn't it? I mean, his end product, that's the only thing that lets him down. Like we were saying before the game, I mean, quality player, real quality player, no doubt about it. Yeah,
I'm just speaking about him quickly. I'm surprised he hasn't been picked up by one of the big boys yet.
Oh, it was a really weird thing with him because, like, again, like, what was it, like 18 months ago, whatever, people were saying, like, quality player, and he signed, like, a 5-year deal at Newcastle. Oh, DJ's gone. He's gone. I don't know where he's gone. I'm split in half. Oh, dear. We'll take this off. I don't know where DJ's gone, but maybe he was talking about Saint-Maximin and he managed to disappear. I'll take a couple of your comments, guys. We still got I'll go for about 8 more minutes, so we'll go for like an hour or so. The Blur says, our style of play is much more attacking now, hence why we were cut apart a few times on the break. DJ's back now. DJ's back.
I got kicked out. I don't know why. Maybe I said something I shouldn't have.
You know what it is? It's that Saint-Maximin slander. Oh, not slander. It's the negativity of it. Like, we won.
Yeah.
Let's not be negative. But no, you were saying about Saint-Maximin.
Yeah, I think he's just a good player, and it's just a shock to me that teams like Leicester, maybe even like Crystal Palace, Everton, they're not really sniffing around him. I do suspect. I'm not even sure how old he is, but I do suspect. If he keeps putting performances like that against the big teams, someone will eventually come forward from him. And I'll be honest with you, I would take him over Jesse Lingard. I would. I think he's so dynamic, and you can see he's got that raw talent, and I think it would complement what we already have. But I know I'm not really supposed to play scout today, but I do think, just looking forward in terms of getting players, because Ferg used to do it. He used to look at players, what we have in the league,
absolutely,
who's good, and he would take them off the smaller teams. So honourable mention for Saint-Maximin today. I thought he was their best player. He tried. He's running all over the pitch. But yeah, back to sort of like the patterns of play. I just do think that's going to hinder us, Owen. And I think that's what Ollie potentially might be judged on. I know we might be judged on winning trophies and winning something and challenging. But to challenge, when you look at Man City and Liverpool, and I'm sorry to bring up the rivals, guys, but we've got to be honest with ourselves and realistic. When you're looking at the bigger teams, not bigger teams, but the big teams, Man Cities, your Chelseas, Liverpools, they have patterns of play, they have styles of play. And ultimately, sometimes when maybe players aren't performing, you can swap those players out and they can go into a system that is still going to get you over the line. For us, we're heavily reliant on individual brilliance and playing in moments. And for the large part, I don't know whether it's luck, Owen, but we've got by with playing in moments for a lot of games and it works. Yeah. But I just think when's that luck going to run out? That's what I keep thinking. When's that going to not? when's that not going to be enough? Do you know what I mean?
Never. We have optimism. Obviously, we've got Champions League in the week as well. I know it's young boys. So what team would you go with today? I don't think it's probably going to be the same team as we would pick today.
No. I'd go with Donny starting. If Henderson's fit, bring Henderson in. We need to get him up to speed a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you'd keep Varane and Maguire just for those senior players to be there. Dalot starts for me, and probably Shaw will continue playing left back. Into the midfield, as I said, Donny, Fred. It might be. I don't even know if Donny's going to get a game actually.
You think about it, because then you have to start thinking about Pogba and stuff again, aren't you? That's
the
thing.
We may say. I do think Sancho will play though. I do think, because I think they're just trying to get him up to speed. So I suspect Sancho might play.
What, on the right?
Because
you've got to think about Martial as well.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends. If Ollie's going to be brave, hey, Ronnie, sit down till the Prem game. Martial,
he can't, can he?
Hey. I'm just thinking what's best for our players. Like, I know it's CR7, but we've got to make these decisions in terms of longevity. We've got to know when to take guys out, because it's only young boys. Do you know what I mean? So,
infamous last words, my friend. Infamous last words. Wait till it gets clipped. It's only young boys. Then you have that like Curb Your Enthusiasm music.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my gosh! If anyone wants to clip that, be my guest. Clip that. But it is only young boys. I think we've got enough firepower for them. I do think we'll see some slight changes. Maybe the addition of Fred, maybe Van der Beek, but that's a push. Dalot. But then again, pragmatic Ollie, he might decide to just keep it quite similar and just change a few positions here or there. But I don't know. It's hard to read Ollie at the moment, to be honest with you.
It is. I think I just can't see Ronaldo not playing. The reason why I say that is because this guy's obsessed, but not just like obsessed with like scoring goals, but he's obsessed with like individual honors. Like, I think, has he got the most Champions League goals, I think, of all time? I think he's already got the record or something like that.
I think he's got the record.
But he wants to absolutely smash that record so no one else gets anywhere near him. And when he sees a team like young boys, he goes, right, that is a hat trick waiting for me. That is 3 extra goals on top of that. He lives for it. He lives for it. And he'll be having words. He'll be having pressure. Be like, look, I want to play. He'll start getting in Ollie's ear. Maybe I need minutes as well. I'll get back up to speed. Jaden needs some extra minutes as well. Maybe I need to play as well. That's what it'll be. That's what he'll want. And he just doesn't take it. Like, the thing is, for Ronaldo, I remember a couple of seasons ago where he was at Juventus and Sarri was the manager, and he substituted him after 65 minutes, and everyone turned around and be like, You don't do that. Everyone was looking around, but like, you did what? So I think he'll play. As far as the other players, I would expect like a Martial to come in. Donny, he should. I don't know if he will. Yeah, I don't know if he will.
Do you know what I think, Owen? I think if you like, and this ain't Bruno slander, if you take Bruno out of the team, you can afford to play Donny and Pogba, because Pogba can kind of take up what Bruno does. He can take that role. He can do what Bruno does. So you're not really missing that long range passing, through the lines passing, because you have Pogba there. It's just we haven't seen any inkling that Van der Beek's getting closer to the team. Yeah, he came on today, but I saw through that straight away. I was like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, put it this way: if it wasn't 3-1 at the time, would he come on? Yeah, that's the question, is it? You know what I mean? Yeah, if it was 2-1, I don't even know if he would have come on then. If it was 1-1, definitely wouldn't have come on.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not to be like slander Donny van der Beek. That's to say that we know what Ollie thinks of him. That's the situation,
Yeah. It's one of the weirdest things ever, man. This is such a and I think as United fans, we don't want it to become toxic, because that's not what we're about. We're about positive vibes. But I mean, when you really think of it, it's just like, wow, like what his mental strength, I have to give it to him. He's strong mentally up there, because for any player at the highest level that's not playing games and not even getting a sniff at first team action, it's got to mess with your brain a bit. But all we can do is fingers crossed. I think that's all we can do as fans, is fingers crossed.
Yeah, and also with him, like, as well, like, because you would see some people being like, yeah, but he came on today, did nothing. It's like, it's 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
It's 5 minutes.
How does he feel? Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I was a pro footballer and the manager's 5 minutes, I'll be like, mate, there's no point in me going on. Just, I'm not going.
You're that kind of player. You do a 10 minutes, you'd be like, no,
I'm not playing. I'm not playing. 5 minutes. What am I going to get out of this? It's not exactly going to do anything for my fitness, is it? Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Man, I used to get that playing in goal. I used to have like 2 goalkeepers, and they'd be like, "Okay, you're going to do a half each." I'm like, "You are joking me." As a goalkeeper, I'd rather not play.
Yeah,
I'm not going to play. Substitute a goalkeeper half time. How dare you? I was that kind of player. But look, guys, we've nearly gone for an hour, so we'll wrap things up here. Manchester United, 4-1 victory, even though it's weird there because it kind of doesn't feel like a 4-1.
Yeah.
But look, it is what it is. 4-1. We'll take it. Thank you very much, DJ, for joining me today. First of many match reactions this season. Very excited. There's going to be fan views coming, I would assume, any minute now from Flex. KG's there, of course, Old Trafford, which I'm very excited for, I must be said. Very, very excited for.
Everyone get the popcorn.
Exactly. Get ready. Obviously, I think Jack's there as well today, so he's going to be outside the stadium, plus with all the everyone else there as well. So it's going to be very exciting. But we'll speak to you again very, very soon. Peace.